Fifth and sixth graders, it looks like lesson 7 is all about transition. Imagine reading a story with zero transition. It would be like moving through scenes or pictures without any cues. So let me just move through the scenes. I see a tornado and a house. I see a house that has flattened, someone wearing socks, someone looking worried, a yellow brick road. I see some poppies. I see this little robot guy, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion. I see this building. I see this scene right here. It looks like there's a wicked witch, some flying monkeys. I see a hot air balloon. It looks like it's flying away. I see a lady and she is talking to a girl. Now, the story kind of lacked something, didn't it? It seemed to lack the sequence of events. Now I'm going to retell the story using some transitions. These transitions will signal what happens first, next, consequently, and then, before, the next day. These words are going to be helping us. So I want you to be looking and listening for those words. First, there was a big tornado that came and ripped through Dorothy's um, valley where she lived, and it seemed to strike at her house, and she hit her head. And the next thing that she knew after she woke up was all these little people were around her, these little munchkins, and they were saying, "You killed an evil witch, hooray!" But really, what she was mostly concerned about was how does she get home from this strange land, and they suggested that she follow the yellow brick road. Once she was walking on the yellow brick road, she came across a strange character. Ooh, let's see if I could get to him. The Scarecrow. The Scarecrow said he would also like to meet the wonderful Wizard of Oz to help himself find a brain and she can go home. Along the way, they met other characters. After she met the Scarecrow, she met a Tin Man, and he decided he needed help too. He wanted a heart. Next, they met a Cowardly Lion who decided he needed to get some bravery. He needed courage. And so they decided to go on their way, except they had some obstacles, like when they all fell asleep in the poppy fields. Finally, after a long time of traveling, they arrived at the Emerald City, where they met the wonderful Wizard of Oz, except he demanded that and he would not help Dorothy or her friends until they killed the other wicked witch that was terrorizing them all. So they traveled some more, and until they came upon the wicked witch's lair, and they met her and her evil minions, the flying monkeys. After a fight in which Dorothy threw a bucket of water on the wicked witch, she melted into a puddle, and they thought they were going to receive help from the Wizard of Oz. But alas, he flew away on a hot air balloon. Ultimately, at the end, Dorothy realized that she had what she needed all along in those little ruby slippers when Glenda the Good Witch said that all she had to do was tap her heels 3 times and say there's no place like home. Finally, at the end of the book, she arrived home, and perhaps this whole event was a dream. Do you see how much better the story was using transition? So these transition words include words like next, before, finally, last, soon, another, later, then, while, yesterday, tomorrow, by the time, meantime, at the same time, after, because, first, when, and it shows you sequence of events. So what you are to do is to underline the transition words and phrases in the sentences. After you do that, let's go ahead and correct. Did you underline while reading, an hour later? when the book fell to the floor? How about at the same time? Before? Those help signal what's happening, those sequence of events. Now, the next thing is that you're supposed to write two sentences and use the transition word in the second sentence. So if I were to write a sentence, I went to the store. That's one sentence. I went to the store. I went camping. Okay, you've got two separate sentences, but now let's write those two sentences together and use the transition to show some movement and transition in our story. I went to the store. The next day, I went camping. Do you see how much better that flows? Next, you're supposed to read paragraphs and come back and write transition words. Don't just fill in any transitions in there. Think about what words would help order the story the best. First, then, next, suddenly, finally. Words like that show a sequence of events. So think carefully about what you would put in the blank. There might be a variety of different answers. The next little portion is we remember. I typically let you do that on your own, and I do want you to do it, but I'll do the first 9, 10, 11 with you as a review because these true falses are a little tricky. Let's take a look at number 9. It says a preposition is always part of a phrase. So I think it's just helpful to take a look at a preposition like this. We have to remember a preposition starts with a preposition, ends with the object of the preposition. So, are prepositions always part of a phrase? Absolutely. I hope that you put true for number 9. For number 10, predicate nominatives follow an action verb. Well, let's see if that makes sense. So I'm going to come up with a predicate nominative. I know it's a renaming the subject. So I'm going to say, thinking about this story, I'm going to say Dorothy is my subject, is a girl. Girl renames my subject. So is an action verb? Not at all. It's a linking verb. And so don't forget when you see a subject linked to a predicate nominative where it renames my subject, it is only with a linking verb, not an action verb. So number 10 is false. Number 11 talks about how adverbs may modify verbs and adjectives. Let's see if that's true. Let's say, still thinking about the story, the house fell is a verb. So fell is my verb here. How did it fall? The house fell quickly or quickly fell. Quickly modifies how it falls, so I do know that adverbs do modify verbs. Now let's answer the question whether adverbs may modify adjectives. Can that be true? Let's talk about the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch was scary. Oh, so scary describes my Wicked Witch, and so I know scary is an adjective. But just how scary was she? Extremely scary? Really scary? Mildly scary? I'm going to go with very scary. Very modifies the adjective, and very is an adverb. And so now I know that it is true that adverbs can modify verbs or other adjectives. Other tricky spots in today's lesson might be 20, 21, and 22. Please do the rest, but I'm just helping you with the tricky spots. Let's take a look at number 20. It says, write a sentence using each irregular verb correctly. It wants you to write the past participle of eat. Okay, so we have to put eaten. Can you write a sentence with had eaten? For example, my sentence is, I had eaten a banana yesterday. Now it wants the past tense of go. What's the past tense of go? Did you say went? It's an irregular verb. Let's see if you could write a sentence using went. The past participle of lose. Lose. Did you put had lost? Please write a sentence using had lost. She had lost her way when she fell asleep in the field of poppies. Write your own sentence now using these words.